Welcome to another Richard Head Longbows video. We showed this tool in a video we did and we're calling it a Bowyers float. It's a modern version of what we think a float would have looked like. This is an illustration from the 1600s which shows a float, and there's another one down there which has got these sort of serrated blades in it. Now this was recognised as a Bowyers tool, and the Worshipful Company of Bowyers on their coat of arms show these floats, and they've had one made instead of like this being metal, and this is a modern metal rasp if you like. We got Hector Cole to have a look and he said yes, the blacksmiths could have made something like this with this serrated cutting edge. So it's like a modern rasp. But the ones the Bowyers had made was a wooden block with blades set in it, and I believe you can still get that sort of thing used by stonemasons for dressing stone. So that's why we thought we'd do this quick video, show you the tools that we use and that Bowyers for centuries have used. You don't need any complicated tools, you don't need electrical bandsaws, planers, whatever. If you're making something from yew, you'll need an axe. Normal to mark with pencil marks on the stave you're working on so you don't take too much wood off. And you use the axe and chop away everything that doesn't look like a longbow. So a sharp axe, a small axe so you're in control of it, and you can work to quite fine tolerances with that. Once you've got most of the rough wood off, next one to use would be a draw knife. Not essential, you could jump straight to a spoke shave, but the draw knife enables you to take a little bit more wood off than you would with a spoke shave. Again, sharp blade, two handles. If you've still got bark on the stave, like this one here, to remove the bark, sometimes it would just peel off. Sometimes, like this one, it's virtually welded onto it. So we would reverse the draw knife so that the blade is the opposite way round, and then you can then slowly take the bark off without fear of digging into the stave. Just a little tip there. Once we've done that, we're going on to finer tools. A spoke shave with an adjustable blade so you can take off very, very fine cuttings with it. These are obviously modern ones, easily obtainable. Originally they've been wooden ones. We've probably got one somewhere. Here we are. Covered with dust because I don't use it much. But that would have been an old time spoke shave, made of wood, boxwood probably, with a blade set in it. Not as easily adjustable as these where you can just turn those and just make very, very fine cuts. That one's quite useful because it's got a curved blade in it, and the belly of the bow is going to have a curved shape, so that's a useful one to have. Not essential by any means, but useful. When we're making a bow, particularly a self-yew bow, where you've got all these undulations, we often use some calipers so we can check the width of the bow and then make sure that the depth from back to front doesn't exceed the width, and then put pencil marks down the bow to make sure when we're using these tools we don't take too much off. So useful to have. If you needed to plane anything, modern plane, smaller plane, again easily obtainable. If you were making a bow that's from a straight stave and you wanted to make sure there were no lumps and bumps in the stave and no hollows, you'd use something like this, which has got a vertical blade, and as you run that over the surface, that vertical blade just takes off any lumps that are in the stave. But you do need to have been making a bow without any reset or reflex into it. Useful tool. We've mentioned the float. We've got a couple there that we're calling floats, again with this serrated edge in it. We don't think any existing tools from the Middle Ages where bowyers used them still exist. They were obviously really important to the craft because bowyers left them in their will to their sons or to their apprentices, and it was recognised as a tool. But I've not been able to find any record of one existing, so we don't really know exactly how they were made, which is a pity. Moving on from there, we've got a scraper, or before that, after the spoke shave, and the float is doing the same job, but this is a modern version really, a rasp, which will take off enough wood to get it down once you're starting tillering, and the other side has got a more of a file on it for fine work. We then need to get rid of all those tool marks, so a scraper is useful, cabinet scraper, and we'll just take off very, very fine slithers of wood. We've got a couple here that we've made up. That's obviously got the flat edge to it. This has got a curve on it to match the curve of the bow. That one's got a slightly larger curve. Useful things to have. Say the ordinary flat one is fine. You can do everything with that. You don't need to have made these, but are just showing you what is possible. If you're making horn knocks, you need some sort of rasp to cut the groove for the string. We've found it very difficult to get something of the right sort of size. This one's a little touch larger than we'd like, but it works. Obviously, once you've got the bow down to size, then sandpaper, get all the tool marks out of it, which is essential on the back of the bow. But the belly, it's nice to get every tool mark out. We then use wire wool to make sure it's really smooth before applying a finish to it. And that's about it. So hopefully you found that interesting. I say simple tools, you don't need a lot in order to make a good bow.